Good evening, everyone. I'm Blair Warner, and joining me today is Danny Milner for the National League Championship 2025 preview show, or unofficial National League Championship 2025 preview show. You want to say anything, Danny?
What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's good to be back, and it's good to finally have National League back for 2025. And to be honest, I can't wait for this one.
Yes, very exciting. Auckland City seem to have fallen far from where they usually stand in regards to National League standings, ironically enough. So we'll be going through...
It's like reigning champions, and then this season they haven't had the best of seasons. They've played so many games. They've been to the Club World Cup, Intercontinental Cup. They've only just scraped it through, but you never know with Auckland City. They're always going to try and compete, and no doubt they'll try and be close to that grand final spot come the end of the season.
Yeah, the Real Madrid of OFC, you can't really write them off in the running. They've still got plenty of talent for this level, Maya Bevan and whatnot. But yeah, we'll get into that later on. But for now, we'll go through, starting from top of the Northern League, work our way through those teams. Top Central, work our way down. Top of Southern, work our way down again. A few transfers have happened in Southern League recently. And yeah, so it's definitely changed the tide of power in the last sort of few hours. Evening, Hamish.
Hamish, how are you?
So we'll get into it then. Western Springs, champions of the Northern League. And honestly, I don't see them doing anything crazy this season. They're pretty meh by National League. I get they won the Northern League, but they didn't do it particularly convincingly. Losses to all the other National League competitors at home. Fencibles gave them the run, beat them 2 out of 3 times. Both times with late goals, I believe. 1-0 loss at home to bottom of the table West Coast Rangers.
Yeah, it depends on if you can... for me, it's all depending on Western Springs and if they can consistently do it for a long period of time. Because as you see in that results graph, there's a lot of reds, there's a lot of oranges. So it's whether you can be consistently good enough for the 10 games, and they come thick and fast, and there's no easy 10 games in the National League this year. And first up, it could be a big test against Suburbs.
Yeah, I found them rather passive quite often when in moments that required urgency, in my opinion. Like the 2 Fencibles games that they lost in particular stand out to me. And I think Western Suburbs are pretty keyed into what Western Springs will throw at them and have quality counters to that. And I think, most teams in the league even have, quality in the area, in the channel and whatnot with their wingers. And yeah, so I could see them, honestly, bottom half of the table.
Well, it's quite interesting. We have a look at the players that they've got there. They've got the experienced Oscar Mason goal, who's done it for not only Napier but have done it for Hawke's Bay. They've got someone like Ben Wallace, who's done it for the Phoenix and has been with Scott Hales for the past couple of years at Springs. And then you've got V Drake, who has been
captain and top goal scorer.
Yeah. So they've got the players to do it. If they can be consistent enough, we'll wait to see. And yeah, hopefully they can be up there, because obviously us being to Northern League, obviously me and being from Northern, we want to see Springs up there, but you never know come the end of the season.
Yeah, well, we'll move on to next team, Birkenhead. I think this is one that could do quietly, I say quietly, but I think they could do very well. You look at the lineup of attackers they have. Donkers, Phillips, Susky. I believe you mentioned there were rumours that Morgan Wellsbury was going to be joining as well, who produced, 12 goals in the Northern League?
Yeah, I think as of today they put out their list of players that they actually got, and they've got Morgan Wellsbury, and they've also got Isaac Bates from Eastern Suburbs, who has been quietly doing it for Eastern Suburbs this whole year. And then you've got Morgan, who's travelling up from Tauranga every single week to train. So it'll be interesting, but yeah, Sam Phillips up front leading the line for them, and you've got like Leon Vanderhoven and Dion Bonkers, who's been there for a long time, and especially their coach.
I think you mean Dino Bodica.
Dino Bodica. That's going to get clipped automatically. And then obviously you've got like their coach has been around the system for a long time.
Yeah, also Wellington Phoenix Academy product Keegan Smith in net as well.
Yes, played a couple of A-League games as well for the Phoenix back in the day.
Yeah. Something I did notice happen in the Auckland FC Birkenhead friendly was about 20 minutes in, Dino Bodica suffered a knock and he was hooked. So I'm not entirely sure whether that substitute was precautionary or whether something more serious has happened. And I do think their season hinges on that. Because I think this is going to be a team that wins, as you can see from the sort of score chart from this season in the Northern League. They're very much a 3-2 team. And I think Dino Bodica is a key difference in that being, 3-2s instead of 3-4s. So if he's fit, I think they're in the mix for that top 2 spots for the grand final.
Then obviously it was last season they were grand finalists along with Auckland City, so it'll be truly interesting, and there'll no doubt be a couple of games that I'm willing to go and watch.
Yeah, they lost Monty Patterson and Corbin Piper as well on top of that, so yeah, and they've managed to bounce back really well from that with the signings they've managed to replace them with. Cool. We'll move on to Auckland United then. They're another one that doesn't sort of, really make me feel anything regarding them, challenging. Like, they've got Emiliano Tade, who, again, a fantastic player, a lot of history in the National League. But how long are you going to rely on him to, score goals? Because he must be getting well on now, like 36-ish.
It will be getting up there in terms of age. It's how many times can you rely on a 36-year-old to get you out of danger? And
yeah, and if you look at their score chart, 1 win against the top 5 sides. So a 2-1 win away against Western Springs, 3 draws against Springs at home, Birkenhead at home, and City at home, and then 2 losses away, Birkenhead and City, and then 2 losses against Eastern Suburbs as well on top of that. Like, it's not teeing up to be a great National League campaign for them. They've added Jalen Rodwell in defence, which is a good little signing from Edgeworth Eagles. But I don't think a defender was necessarily what they needed. To be fair, they did lose Marco Lorenz to Hong Kong, so he replaces that, but they're just missing an attacker. They need sort of that extra bit of pizzazz next to, with Tade to, rotate around with, in my opinion.
100%. It's been a long campaign for them, especially being in both the Northern League and Chatham Cup, and the Northern League went down to the very last game of the season where they needed to get a win. So it's going to take a toll on this National League, and it's how long can you keep Tade fresh for, and how long you can keep Nunez fresh for as well. And don't forget Luca Lim from Melville United last season. He's just been overseas with the Auckland University football team, so it's whether he can come back and get firing again for Auckland United.
Yeah, I think it's important to note their bye is the second week as well, so it's not going to be a lot of rest available for Tade, and that run home, that last 5 games is brutal for them. Like City, Birkenhead, Western Suburbs away, Olympic at home, and then Auckland FC reserves they do have a good record against, but I'd imagine that'll be a full strength team coming into full flow. Essentially, all the scholarship players that have had a full pre-season and a good few games under their belt at that point. Yeah, so could be interesting for them. We'll move on to reigning champions, Auckland City. Been a very up and down season for them. Really struggled away from home. Lost to Birkenhead, lost to the Eastern Suburbs, Tauranga City, Bay Olympic, all lost at home. They managed to put away the relegation sides most times, with Fencibles being the only one to get anything out of them. And something else important to note, no wins against the Auckland FC reserves. One loss at home and a draw away from home. So, yeah.
That's it. That famous old win for Auckland FC reserves. Nobody predicted that whatsoever, but somehow that young team did it. And Auckland City, they could struggle this season.
Yeah, I think they'll be up there. I think they'll be top four, at least. I think their core is solid. Christian Gray, Nico Boxall have been their main starting pair. Both have been solid throughout the season. Mario Ilic was not playing for a long while there, so you'd imagine he makes a full-fledged return to the team. And, of course, Bevan, you in attack, Lagos, Mannequin will be returning from the OFC Futsal Championship. So they'll have a few reinforcements return. And then Nathan Garrow after his infamous performance versus Boca as well. So, yeah, I think they'll be in and about. And their run home, I think, is one of the better ones. Miramar, Phoenix, Western Springs, Coastal. So I think they could be one that sort of, they float in around 4th, 5th, and then make a late charge for the top. It would be very in character as well for them to do that.
I'm sure that everybody at Kiwitea Street would want to see another National League title lift. I presume probably at Mount Smart Stadium. We don't know quite where it's going to be held, but I'm sure the people at Auckland City will want another trophy in the cabinet.
Yeah. And we'll move on to Auckland FC reserves. This one will be... I'm quietly confident. I think they can pick up some points against, especially in that first 4 or 5 games. We've made the signing of Sam Black, Aston Burns, and Van Fitzharris. All exciting young talent. Sam Black in particular, the Central League MVP. I would not be surprised to see him go straight into the starting lineup for the reserves. So, but
like Sam Black would come straight into the lineup for me. And you've got a good bunch of players, good bunch of young players there that Auckland FC coaching staff will be looking at for not only their A-League team but also to get good results in this campaign for the National League. And you could actually see that they picked up points against Eastern Suburbs. They actually picked up 4 points, which not many teams did. And you also picked up 4 points against Auckland City, which is rare to say the least for a young side like this.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of inconsistency to this team, but I think you can kind of put that down to the inconsistency of the lineups. Like, there was times where there was being 8-9 changes made. I think there was even a full-fledged 11 switched from one week to another. So it's kind of, you can't really blame them when half of them have only played half the games and whatnot. But I think if we can keep a bit of consistency, especially with that centre-back pairing of Nabeno and Visilic, because that was a pairing that was the pairing behind the 2-0 win over Suburbs. Visilic won man of the match for that game as well. I think if those two can get consistent minutes together, I think that'll severely increase Auckland's chances of having just a decent season, really. Finn McKinley, Cody Phoenix, Adama Koulibaly and Ollie Middleton all away for international duty at the Under-20 World Cup as well. I think McKinley and Phoenix are the only two real big misses there. Wreck-It Ralph, Wreck-It Ralph Rutherford. He'll be back into it on one of the wings. I imagine. Sam Lack will probably be on the other. Top goal scorer for us in the Northern League, 8 goals. Got quite a few assists from set pieces as well during the Northern League campaign. I don't have an exact number, but I vividly remember Baldoni versus East Coast Bays, Mitchell versus Eastern Suburbs. So, yeah, sort of a multifaceted, threatening player.
And it'll be interesting because Baldoni's also coming off a really good season for both Ellerslie and Auckland when he transferred over, but he also is coming off a really good under 16 age group tournament for New Zealand when they were overseas at OFC, winning that as well. Got a couple goals in a couple games.
Yeah, Golden Boot, 6 goals and 3 assists, I think it was. Yeah. Big thing for me with him is he has something of a clutch gene. Comes on, bags a goal. Just like nobody's business.
What more can you want?
Yeah. He's 16 years old. Wouldn't be surprised to see him part of at least the OFC Pro League team, as many players will be vying for that. As I talked to Nick Becker about it at the Port season launch, and essentially it's going to be 3 Auckland teams. It'll be A-League team, Pro League team, and Northern League team. And so a lot of those reserve players will be vying for that second team, as it's going to be Olympics rules. Well, so far, that's the understanding. Under 23s plus 3 overage players. So, yeah, this is very much a audition for that squad.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll move on now to the Central League teams and Central League champions and Chatham Cup winners. Wellington Olympic. Probably, I think, my favourite to win the lot. I think they've just got a really well-balanced team with just talent pouring out of the ears. Henry Sinclair and Jack Henry Sinclair, Hamish Watson up front, Issa Prinz in midfield, a defence involving Supik, Mata and Gully with Basilage in goal. It's just a high-quality squad.
I mean, there's a reason why you won not only the Central League and the Chatham Cup is because you've been consistent the whole season, and like only losing one game, and that's against Murmur. It's impressive, even though the Central League might not be as strong as the Northern. It's still impressive to win 90% of your games, and only join a couple more. So I'm sure Paul Eiffel will be itching to go against the Phoenix.
Yeah. They've got Phoenix first up, and it's pretty well spread draw, I feel. There's no sort of particularly easy run of games, but Miramar at home to end the season could be one to keep an eye on. Could be very well a title decider, really.
Yeah, and then obviously round 9 is Paul Eiffel's homecoming to Christchurch, where he spent a couple of seasons building that Christchurch United team. That we've come to enjoy.
Issa Prinz as well. I think he'll have a big season ahead of him. He's, Paul Eiffel's talked about it on Twitter, how it's sort of, that missing out on the Under-20 World Cup has sort of lit a fire under him. Scored a great goal in the Chatham Cup final, and I think we could probably expect more of that from the National League, unfortunately. And
then one to also mention is Jack Henry Sinclair. He's been around it for a long time with Team Wellington and Wellington Olympic, and a couple of years ago I remember him ripping it up against Melville at Cowell Park, just absolutely ripping us to shreds.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely one of the star players of the league. Yeah. Now we'll move on to the second place team, and honestly, probably one of the more quiet in terms of player quality and name power, apart from one player that I think everyone will be very familiar with in New Zealand football, Louis Fenton.
Everybody knows who Louis Fenton is. He's a barber and now he's a footballer. I'm sure Carl Herbert will be wanting him to draw on his expertise from playing in the A-League.
Yeah. I think Miramar sort of suffer from something very similar to Auckland United, where they've got a very aged striker who's scoring a lot of goals and doing a lot of the carrying in Martin Bueno, and they just don't really have much else. Bobadilla seems decent, got the captain Brad Whitworth in midfield as well, but it's just not a particularly eye-raising squad, you know.
You don't see that squad and you go, wow, that could win the National League. It's a mid-table. It's a good team. It's a mid-table team. But also you've got Ronaldo Muniz also from Hamilton Wanderers in there. He's good on his day. He can score good free kicks, but it's a good solid team, but mid-table.
Yeah. Again, not really much to say on it, so we'll move along. And Western Suburbs. I think this is the dark horse. They had a really poor 2024 campaign, but I think the players that they've brought in this year suit a more counter-attacking style that I think will see some level of success in the National League this year, despite sort of having a not great run against the top Central League teams.
Well, I don't think you can go any worse than what they did last season. Obviously, finishing in last place, so you can't go worse.
Second to last, Eastern Suburbs only had 4 points.
So second to last, sorry, Eastern Suburbs. But yeah, they've been trucking along slowly in Western Suburbs. I know that their coach, formerly of Northland, went down at the start of the season. He's been doing a real decent job with Western Suburbs, and obviously Western Suburbs being connected to the Ole Football Academy, creating so many good footballers now, and obviously have won the National League previously with their connection with Eastern Suburbs. When you had a couple of the players from Western go to Suburbs for the National League.
Yeah. One name particularly mentioned Ole Academy, Seb Barton Ginger. He was injured with a shoulder injury about 3 to 4 weeks before the end of the Central League season. Real horrible landing from an aerial duel. It was a dislocated shoulder, missed the rest of the season. From what I've been told, he'll be fit from week 1, which will be a massive addition for Western Suburbs. He's, I believe, their top scorer despite missing the last 3 to 4 games as well. And it's a shame because him and Kalen Nagoyan only got a couple of games together, and they look good. They look like they had sort of a good bit of chemistry forming, and it'll be interesting to see.
And their draw seems to be quite all right. There's no kind of clumps of games where you got hard opponents. It's kind of spread across the whole 11 weeks, so should be interesting. And a bye right in the middle, which will give them a good week off to refresh.
Yeah, especially with the Olympic away immediately after that. It's about as good a time as any to have that fixture.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll move on to the next A-League reserves team. Wellington Phoenix, obviously hit very hard by the Under-20 World Cup. 9 players going away for that. 7 of them would have likely been involved with the reserves team at a large extent for the National League. So they still have Dylan Gardner, which is something in defence. But other than that, they look a bit shaky in that part of the pitch, losing Fergus Gillian as well. Massive loss in midfield. But there's still something to be hyped about. Luke Flowerdew infamously scored against Wrexham in the 1-0 win. And LB Kelly Heald will also be plying his trade for the reserves this season, apparently. So I think the first half before the bye is going to be incredibly telling of how that season goes. I think it's a tough draw. I think it's a tough draw for them.
it's tough for them because you've got your obviously your more experienced players off overseas with the World Cup, but then you've still got the players behind them. Dylan Gardner, as you said, like centre back, he's a captain. You've also got a couple other. You've also got Luke Mitchell from Wanderers, two Wanderers boys that I've mentioned. But yeah, they'll find it tough. But I'm sure if I know Chris Greenacre, he'll want to get a couple good results before the end of the season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that those players away will likely miss Olympic at home. That's realistically you want a full strength squad for that game. And again, the reserves derby. Again, you want full strength, but yeah. And then Christchurch United, probably the only chance you're going to get at revenge for the Oceania Pro League. And Auckland United, I think a team that you could probably get at. You may or may not have players back for that. And then Miramar at home. So that it's a brutal first 5 games, especially when the Miramar win this season. I think Miramar had 1 or 2 players sent off in that 1-0 win. But Lachlan Candy, I think, if Lachlan Candy can get going, he should be able to plug that gap going forward at the very least. He looked very good in that game against Wrexham and had some really nice touches.
Yep.
Yeah. Sweet. And we'll move on to the Southern League, I believe, with Coastal Spirits, who made a sort of a bit of a shock announcement this afternoon with the signing of Derek Tiku from Bay Olympic to replace Riku Ichimura, who went overseas to Bhutan on a professional contract. The Southern League MVP and Coastal Spirits top goal scorer and Southern League Golden Boot winner, I believe. Yeah.
I mean, they've to be able to sign Derek Tiku, also the MVP, for a couple years in the Northern League, to be able to sign him just before the season starts is a massive boost for them, especially up front. You know what Derek's like in the box. If he gets the ball, he's often going to lay it off for a strike or he's going to turn and shoot himself. So, look, they could find it difficult, Coastal Spirit, but they've got a good bunch of players, and know you'll be right behind Nick Petchford as part of his unofficial fan club. You'll be right behind him.
Of course. They've also pinched UC Van Dam from Kashmir Tech. Been a quietly good little midfielder for them. Bagged 7 goals this season. And Liam Cotter, who I assume will essentially be the heir to Riku Ichimura out wide. He was another one that had was having a pretty good season. I believe it was 1 or 2 goals actually behind Ichimura, which ideally you'd fill the gap. Joe Hall as well in midfield, and the experienced Danny Boys in defence. It's the one thing that stands out to me is those 2 losses to Cash Tech. Cash Tech sort of did the classic slip in the bathroom and let the old Christchurch United on past when they drew with Nelson Suburbs, and Coastal Spirit never really got the better of them this season. So it leaves me wondering whether Coastal are they up for it?
Yeah, like the funny thing is that you never know if they're going to be up for it, but then it comes to National League and they pull one straight out of the hat. So it's a big unknown. You never know what Coastal is going to be like. Their fixtures, they look all right, pretty well spent. I mean, you've got by round 10, which is really unhelpful. But yeah, they've got some good players to watch. It's whether they can combine all together and make a campaign to remember.
Yeah, Birkenhead at home and Olympic at home aren't bad draws. Though both teams were travelling quite far, I think that's probably the best you could have asked for, really.
Especially in round 1 against Burko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Burko could be that first game, I think, is going to be very telling of how the season goes, because I see a world where Burko go out there and just bash them, by like a good 3-4 goals if they can't get their feet under them, and that you don't want that setting the tone for the rest of your season.
Definitely not. And
we'll move on to the final team, the team that pipped Wellington to the OPL spot for New Zealand, Christchurch United, who also made a bit of a surprise signing today with Noah Karunaratne joining from Eastern Suburbs. They've also got the old head Joel Stevens, a very experienced winger in the National League. Charlie Beale in midfield has been good for them this season. Osawa and Tolavi have been, getting the goals. They got very, very lucky with regards to qualifying for National League. They looked dead and buried with 2-3 games left. And then Cash Tech went and drew with, I believe it was either one of Nelson Suburbs or Dunedin City Royals. And just left the door wide open for them. And they bashed Wanaka 7-0 to make their way through.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. You had two teams vying for it, two rivals vying for it, that compete every single year for the Steve Sumner Trophy, and then Cashmere just left the door wide open, and Christchurch kind of went through the door and said, "Hello, I'll take this," and they made National League, which is good for their aspirations long term. They've got some good players. They've got a good coach. Christchurch has always been up there in the Central. It's whether they can do it on the national stage of this year.
Yeah, a lot of investment as well in the club. The facility video showing the potential new stadium as well and whatnot, and the steps they're making to becoming a fully professional club. They're an interesting one. They're probably the one that I am most unsure about regarding where they place, because I think they've got that bit of spark in attack with Karunaratne and Stevens on the wings. They've got that midfield to toil away, and they've got some solid defenders. They feel like almost like a Wellington Olympic light, and that I could see them pushing top 4. I could also see them finishing bottom 4.
It's literally going to be a toss of coin for me. You look at their team, that it's going to be amazing, but then it's the unknown factors that we're not aware about. It's a toss of a coin. They could either be up there or they're going to be down in the slumps next to other teams.
Yeah. We'll move on to the round 1 fixtures, and I'll let Danny take over from here.
So, obviously, in round 1, the first game of the season is AFC's first ever game in the National League. They're heading to David Farrington Park against a team of Miramar Rangers. It's their first game in the National League for a couple of seasons. This result, I really don't know. It completely depends on what Miramar team comes out and what Auckland FC team comes out. We've got a couple of players who have played Northern League before, National League before, so it's a real unknown for me.
Yeah, I think this could be the one where Sam Lax, I think, steps up and maybe shows himself off to Auckland fans for the first time. He's very well versed in Central League, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with him.
And then obviously that game's at David Farrington Park. Davey F, as people know it, in Wellington, all the way in Miramar. All these games, by the way, are on FIFA Plus. So yeah, enjoy it on FIFA Plus action. Second game, we've got a replay of the quarter-final of the Cup, where Auckland United famously won it late on with Tade getting the goal and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is arguably going to be another big unknown for me, because Auckland United are coming off a 6-1 loss to AFC Reserves last week, I'm pretty sure, and nobody saw that coming.
Yeah. No real additions in attack either. Whilst Christchurch United have gone out and signed Noah Karunaratne, who is a very big upgrade out on that left wing, in my opinion.
And obviously, Auckland United are missing their head coach, Jose Figueira, currently at the World Cup, so it's a big unknown. That's at Keith Hay Park, 3 p.m. on Saturday. Next game we head to a Central v Southern, Central v Central game. I'm getting so confused. Obviously you've got the current Central League champions, Chan Cup champions playing the Wellington Phoenix Academy, and the last time they won was all the way back in 2022, with Seb Barber Ginger and Riley Bidwell scoring. So on paper, this should be quite one-sided. Big unknown is who's going to turn out for the Wellington Phoenix. I don't know if there's any first-team players left for Wellington. In Wellington, I believe that they're all in Sydney at the moment. So,
Albie Kelly Hield, I believe, stayed, and one of McCarron or Ford, I think, travelled with Phoenix. So you'll have Kelly Hield in goal.
Yeah. So, or is he still coming back from injury?
No, he's back from injury. Like Andrew Vorman, I believe, released a little thing about it. He'll be playing for the reserves in the National League, getting minutes, getting confidence back up.
And then you've got Scott Basilay on the other side, who have conceded the least amount of goals in the Northern, Central, and Southern. So good defence for Wellington Olympic, and a great goalkeeper for Wellington Olympic and Scott Basilay.
Yeah.
Obviously, next you've said it's Western Springs versus Western Suburbs, the West Derby, the unofficial West Derby. Northern League champions taking on a Central League team that only lost 4 games this whole campaign, for a new coach. Scott Hales has done his job. He said that he wanted to win the Northern League, and he did. They only missed out 2 points last season for the for the finals last season, so they'll be wanting to do one better. And obviously Western Suburbs coming in with a brand new coach. They'll be wanting to prove themselves. They're obviously from Ole, so they'll be wanting to prove themselves. That game is obviously at Seddon Fields at 12 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
I think, for me, this is game of the round, because I think there's 2 teams that are tactically opposite, and it's going to swing. The pendulum will swing one way or the other, and it'll swing hard, in my opinion, because you're going to get Springs who are going to get high up the pitch. They're going to look to control the ball. Western Suburbs will be more than happy to sit off. They leave Barton Ginger and Nagoyan up nice and high to hit on the counter. And we could be looking down the barrel of a 2-3-0 either way, in my opinion, or even a 3-3. You know, Western Springs have shown they're not above that. Game. Yeah.
And then the last game of the season, obviously Auckland City's got a bye. Last game of the season, you've got Coastal Spirit hosting Birkenhead United. Obviously Birkenhead coming off a second place win, which is really good for them. They'll be wanting to do one better this year. Obviously, just losing to Auckland City at the end of last season. So I know Hobbo will definitely be wanting to do one better this year. They've got obviously Michael Shuka from America, their top goal scorer. So it'll be really interesting. Also, they did have 2 really good results. Obviously, Auckland FC, they lost, but it was actually a really good game. It was 2-0 at the end, was it?
Yeah, 2-0 final score.
And then obviously they won against the New Zealand under-17s team midweek, I do believe. Very
stacked front line. So it's going to be a massive test for Coastal, and I think will set the tone for both teams this season. I think whoever can really kick on here, I think Birkenhead especially, if they can kick on, I see them pushing for grand final. The raw firepower that they have up top should be enough to get them there if it can get going.
100%, and Burko's always been a good club. I mean, it used to be the Waitakere United, now it's gone to Burko. So I believe that they'll be up there. Whether they'll make the final, we'll probably find out by about mid-season. We'll be able to tell you who our predictions are.
Yeah. Yeah, and Auckland City with the bye. Nothing really in that with the first round bye. Doesn't really change much, I feel, for them. Just an extra week of pre-season.
They'll want to watch this weekend and see where everybody sits. It's an advantage not playing week one because you can analyze what other teams do, but it's another week of preseason. Maybe they're playing an internal. You never know. They might be having a lads trip over to Waiheke. All we know.
I'm sure the Waiheke lads will let them know who's boss after the Chatham Cup game.
100%.
Yeah, well, that's I believe that's pretty much us done and dusted regarding National League coverage. Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably do something again next week and cover week 2 and do a review of the first round. And yeah, we'll leave it there, I think.
Yeah, make sure tomorrow if you're in or around Hamilton, you come down and see the Good for Good charity game at Pirate Stadium tomorrow. It kicks off, I think, around 11 a.m. and there's 4 games. There's Marco Rojas, Derek Taiku before he goes to Coastal, so there's some good plays on action tomorrow.
Yeah, me and Danny will both be there, so yeah, see us.